gonna be going through some quick TA for today, right?
Nice.
So yeah, Chris, I want to welcome you to, the Cobras. We have, today at 7:30, it's gonna be crypto done with some blockchain education, and then the fundamentals with Brooklyn. So let's just go over like this drop that came on Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's no surprise.
Yeah, it wasn't really too much of a surprise. It kind of just like a bull trap came through, and we just made lower highs. You could say none of the highs from over here closed above here. But look how like perfectly this zone is mapping out, right? If we see, we've been pretty much like providing really good technical analysis through this area. Falling, a falling wedge, a rising wedge, another smaller falling one, and then we start to see the ascending triangle. Not ascending, I'm sorry. Symmetrical triangle, right? First, we had a cutting trend line. This one was probably a little bit more like this. Anyways, holding like support. Once we have like, a double top almost, and then just really a lower high form. We also seen the Rsi Divergence. So if we see the Rsi Divergence, we see where it's highlighted on the price action. And then we had that, this another top coming, double top, after, a strong bounce off the 40, holding below the 60 RSI. We noticed that when this top came in and we're escaping the zone on this 4-hour candle, we're still not making higher highs to this high or this high. The zone just kept us in as resistance. We put in a little wick to 3,900 during the night, and that was pretty much, if you look on a lower time frame, it didn't last long. It was just a literally liquidity sweep. So this is what we look for when we're in the markets. We don't want to enter when there's no really volume and we're ranging. Wait for the volume to come in. And you could pick your poison. In this case, on the 5-minute.
How are you viewing your volume?
Really divergences are my volume indicators, and let's. And I'm gonna go to Discord. I'll show you another little key that I look for. But here we see like once we hit like when we started making lower highs, lower lows, right? Lower highs, lower lows, pretty much. We just had enough kind of ascending pressure, or we just like kind of held this trend line. Had a little ascending triangle break, but in actuality, it was really we had some liquidity sweep these highs because they haven't been tested yet. Make sure all of them get out before the short comes. If they were in a short.
You see that bit on the right, that little mound-looking thing? That bit there? Yeah, that's all distribution.
And why do you say that?
I just know distribution when I've seen it. I've traded it a million times. It's all wick-off distribution, that part, on a smaller time frame.
Yeah, dope. So look, on a 30-minute, this is actually, a reason why we've had some volume down here at the bottom recently, but look at this. It's like when you have these 4 candles, they're almost symmetrical, right? You can see them on any time frame. The higher the time frame, the stronger the move. In this case, when we had this acted as a ceiling. We put in almost the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder. The right shoulder was a strong, base. Even though, we broke out from, this consolidation down, we still retested the highs. Bringing everybody back to their entry before the breakout. And then we got the confirmed flip of this, kind of like ascending trend line we have right here. But yeah, that's that chart. We also notice here we're holding below the 60 RSI. This is key, like big advocate of this. And then when we have the left shoulder come in, notice the price actions here, right below the zone. Then when we come up, we're above the zone, right? This is, correlating. We hit the 60 RSI, hard rejection. Let me delete this box, man. Hard rejection. But notice how then when we made the next top, right? This was the top. When we made the next tops and the wick came through, notice how this, on the RSI couldn't close above this top on the RSI 60, and then even the left shoulder. So this is when you have the divergence stick. See how they're kind of doing opposite things. On the price action, making higher highs on the RSI, we kind of had a head and shoulders, and the right shoulder couldn't break the top or the left. So yeah, nice flip of that. And notice like I just added in this support. So this one's fresh, right? We pretty much just like we pretty much knew once we broke out of this symmetrical triangle. If we want to delete this one first, when we broke out of this symmetrical, ideally the first time, we held the bottom as support. Nice 2 hour like pin bar doji, and then this candle almost engulfs it. We go sideways, flight retracement almost 0.50, and then we continue through and break back inside the triangle. Breaking back inside the triangle, we see that this was still a slippery slope. The bulls couldn't give up this line, or else we would perish. Now the bottom of the zone is holding quite nicely, as this has been a golden range, as from our capitulation wick. This zone was really just on a daily time frame or a weekly. And let's just go across. So it's just the last candle close of the first time we broke above on our bull run. The first time we broke above 30K, and then we started holding it as support, right? Lots of wicks below, back to 29 psychological support resistance, and then held it as support. So that's the battle that we've been in. You can see 30K has been a battle a lot of
time. Price imbalance.
Yeah.
So if you go back to the left, right, the left side of the chart on the daily, there's so much price imbalance that we haven't filled in yet. If you keep going down, it's all just straight greens. Yeah, that's the specific area I'm looking at. I think we bottom around 23 to 19K myself. I have so much confidence at 23, a high 23K.
I mean, yeah, you see the last time, any support was held. This isn't really support. This is just trending markets, right? Bullish market. If we just look at like this zone.
Like I can tell you we're already going to break down from this current zone down towards the 23 zone. Like I've seen it so many times. Like people are getting bullish, but this is not the time.
Yeah, the market isn't really bullish. We've been bearish for about like 6 months right now. So it's like the market is still correcting. We're below the bull market support band. If we look down here, this would be
A good tip I have as well is look at equities. Equities lead the market.
Yeah, definitely. We look at the DXY. We look at the E to Bitcoin total market cap. The SPY and the SPY and Bitcoin are quite correlated, but with the Luna crash and Luna FUD, Bitcoin and cryptos have lost some of its strength. So SPY is actually leading Bitcoin again. Let's go back to the trading analysis real quick. Let's see, how we got those like candles of symmetry on the 30-minute. Look here on, a lower time frame. This was the prior support we had before we added a new support line in that bigger symmetrical triangle, right? Still using the same resistance. Now just using this low, we're counting this low as, the zone's holding. Here we see we kind of bottomed out on the RSI a little bit here, and it's resetting. So notice how the RSI is coming back up, but the price action isn't really moving up. We've seen these candles right here, which kind of show, kind of same 5 minute, like these are only on 5 minute chart, so multiple like 5 minute candles. You know, if like a breakout was coming soon when you see equal candles. 3 or 4 is like the best thing to look for. So this is where we're at now, or you know where we were at. Let's see what price is doing currently. So like there's imbalances that form all the time in the market, right? So like we've had, you know, that imbalance down there at 21,233. That's like the area I think I said yesterday on the stream that I want to put my limit orders at, right? So yeah, I met Chris yesterday, and you know he had some of the same confluence or same areas. So we just got to be very cautious, but we also have to be cautious about Bitcoin bouncing. You know, nothing goes straight up or straight down. So we did have a very
We're actually quite near to the end of this redistribution. Actually, we're
yeah.
very close to the end of the redistribution. Total 2 chart tells me that we're going to dump very soon. I don't know how soon, but very soon. Probably before the end of May. And I also have a fib time around like 21st, 22nd, I think, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be cautious, right? Like if we're looking on like a weekly time frame. So you
look at the DXY, bro. The DXY is very fucking scary.
Yeah, but you don't think the DXY would correct?
No, on the day. Well, on the daily, it's already done its correction, hasn't it?
Yeah, true. But that's not really a correction to me. Let's see how this is looking.
I don't think the DXY goes much lower. I think it finds support on a previous supply.
If we kind of like drag this down a little bit.
You're a pattern trader though, right? I don't trade patterns.
No, I don't even trade the head and shoulders, to be honest. To be fair, but it's just, you know, this is a correction, but it's also like we could test the bottom of the zone. Like we haven't really escaped the zone yet. So notice how like even the resistance that we put probably yesterday just got hit. So let's dive down.
Oh no, the DXY is gonna fly. It's done its correction. Like I'm fairly certain the correction's over for that.
I mean, you gotta look at both. In my perspective, like we have to look at both angles. Like it could go up or down. We don't know what it's gonna do.
Look at the market structure. That's so bullish, and it's literally cooled off as well. It consolidated on a previous range high. And if you zoom out even further, if you go onto the weekly, this is a historical like high over like 20 years. To me, the DXY is gonna pump.
I mean, yeah, bro. Like you could be definitive, but you can't ignore, you know, both sides. I see what you're saying. With, you know, like look at how high we tested, and even like go back even more. Like we can't even see the high because look at this zone up here. So obviously, you know, there was another time when the DXY has been higher, 2002. So you're right, 20-year high, previous. But you know, let's see what's holding here. So yeah, I mean,
when the DXY comes down, it's going to be a big crash because it's got so many vector candles. But I don't think it bottoms yet. I think it keeps running.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a possibility, and if that happens, you know, that will cause, you know, indices and other markets to bleed because cash is a position, right? But yeah, I just extended that zone a little bit, included the wicks. So now let's like go back in. Delete this. So boom, just got the retest, right? Like it's almost impossible to it's almost impossible to like fake that. Like it has been on, you know, a correction. It does look like if we break, because all the trend lines are liquidity, right? It shows when you get a strong break of a trend line, then you know you could have a breakout But right now, this is like more of a channel to me. You could say it's possibly something of a wedge, but let's see if we figure a wedge. So that's a possibility. Now let's check the RSI.
Patterns tend to work more on Forex because on crypto it doesn't.
You'll be amazed, my boy.
Yeah, because I've heard of quite often that Forex patterns actually play out very, very often.
Crypto patterns play out all the time.
I mean, they're more manipulated is my point with crypto. I've traded crypto a long time now. The foreign exchange, I have like zero experience, so you're the pro. And I've been told a lot of times that patterns play out quite often in Forex.
I mean, if you haven't tried it, like you say you're not a trader, so a pattern trader, so like, you know, you don't, everyone has their own trading style, but sticking to your plan is what's going to make it key because, you know, some people are Fibonacci retracement, some people use Bollinger Bands. Really, it's all about your market structure, right? As long as you have your confirmations, then you're good. Like, let's even drag this across. Look how, you know, this candle, you know, barely was able. Let's actually drag it down a little bit to this black candle close. So we will include all bodies, well, pretty much except for, you know, this kind of like downside. But we also see how, you know, this could be like a descending triangle test. Remember, this like was a bigger rising wedge that we had. This one's pretty much like we played out down, and then now we just are able to like switch the trend line. But yeah, we can't give up this line because, you know, this could easily be like a descending triangle. It's all about where the liquidity is holding with like trend lines because, you know, we want to enter. Technically, I'm not like a breakout trader, so like if I'm looking for longs or shorts, right, I'm not gonna enter a short when we break this trend line down. Like, yes, it could be a very profitable short if you get it on a retest, but I'm kind of an inverse trader. I'm looking for the position at the opposite end of the range. So my shorts, I'm looking up here. This was a pretty nice descending triangle hold as well. You know, we held inside the zone with the liquidity up here, and then we continued down. That was nice. But the long, you know, we were looking for was just this double bottom hold. Same thing. Head and shoulders on the RSI. The left shoulder, the head, and then like the right shoulder holding above the 40 RSI was the key. So notice how, you know, this candle close, right, represents the close down here is on above the 40, but this candle closes, you know, below the 40, even though this candle price action closed below this candle. So that's the divergence. Played out nicely. And now here on the 3 hour, we're testing the 4 hour, we're testing the 40 RSI again, right? So we're at a key support level. We don't want to lose this zone.
Yeah, that's definitely getting lost, bro.
Huh? Yeah.
It's definitely getting lost. Like, we're going to the next range.
I mean, yeah, I would hope for that, but
opportunity.
Yeah, that's perfect for me, bro. But if we're looking here, like on a 15-minute, there's not that much like imbalance. But if we look on like a 30-minute, I would love to come here for the bulls to just retest this area.
Yes.
And then because, like, you know, nothing. If it does go just straight down, then it like kind of leaves liquidity in this area, and then price will have to return there. It could very well do that. It could make its lower low and then come fill that later in the future. But
The other thing is with psychology to this is, does the market panic when we break that low as well? Because people have been told that is now the low, and like been FOMOing.
Yeah, definitely.
There's no reason to me why 25 is a low. Like the only lows I see is 23 and 19. If it goes lower than that, then 60. But those are like my 3 key points.
I hear that, but think about like all the money that's trapped short right now. Like, yes, we got like some scam wick here, but I doubt. No, this is on Binance. Let's see if it's on other exchanges. This wick is
that's good. I like that you use the on the right, the labels for the weekly low and stuff. That's really smart.
Yeah, bro. That's it's good to have a lot of different outlooks, a lot of different charts. Let's look at this one, FTX. It's crazy, when this wick came up, it hit the trend line exactly, bro. You have to move.
Do you not get so this is the thing with patterns and why I don't trade patterns. Do you not find it that there's so many lines that you get almost like paralysis on taking trades?
Nah, never, bro. Look at this. Hold on. Let me bring it down for you.
And how do you decide your trade entries? I'm interested.
Divergence. So like, this was me trying to catch the bottom yesterday, right? We see when we first made like a low. When we first like came down, we had volume coming down through here. We see that we tested the daily low, holding that support. When we came back up, like this wedge, there was an alternative wedge, maybe a little bit more like this or something. But it was pinching so hard, I didn't update it on this chart. We pretty much just held this zone as resistance. Like if you wanted to take out this wedge, like if you wanted to find the right one, it was probably like this, something like that. But like spotting like price action is key. So like we dropped over this low, right? We came below that low, and then we were pretty much just testing this low. Like we ended up making a lower low, but what happened? We hit a double bottom on the RSI. So pretty much eliminate all of this price action before, right? The doji comes in, and when the doji comes in, we're not able to break below this low. Right, so we can see that, well, we kind of did break below it, but when the doji comes in, we go sideways and we're holding support of the double bottom. We can see that this low closed here by the daily low, and then this one came way below, holding like the support of the trend line. As well, what we could look for is like Fibonacci. So let me drop from here. So pretty much it was just being able to hold above this 0.50 level. This wick on a lot of exchanges is different, right? So it's not a strong use case. So I would, take away that whole 2-hour candle and just use the low from this 2-hour before the capitulation. And then, that just kind of gives you some like confluence. Yes, we could have tested the 618 or something, but not on this time frame as well. Like that's the kind of the macro range retracement we were playing in. If we look at it from like that would be it. Unless you wanted to use like this time before we broke the low. You can see this was like a 786 retracement. And yeah, this is, you know, this is like another reason I used it for entry right here on the divergence. You know, we weren't able to really come below this area. But just to stay on point a little bit, this is on a 2 hour. You see how like we had like a horizontal, like how it was a double bottom, but the price was, you know, lower. So that's a divergence, and the divergence is different on every time frame. So like if you just take it down to the hourly, you can see that definitely you start to see the divergence is coming a little bit more flush. Look how you have the 4 candles of symmetry right here, small breakout, then we sweep to the downside. Downside test help, you know, holds, and then, you know, this is just marking out divergence again.
Can you explain how you decide your entries and where you enter? For instance, if you're doing this live, how would you decide where you entered using this method?
I mean, I could do it for the entry I did over here.
Yeah, sure. I'm just interested.
I mean, so when you know you're doing your trading plan, right? You obviously like develop more like confirmations or indicators, confluences. So one thing when we're looking for trades is we have to have multiple confluences, right? So one has to be market structure. Have we made a lower low to all the lows, right? No, we held a higher low, so we could still be in a range. One. Two, chart patterns. This one looks beautiful. Look how we're testing this wedge that we, you know, we're coming out or testing. Let me come back. Notice how this is just a retest now, right? Also, let me make it a little cleaner for you. So let me focus on, you know, just support and resistance. If we're looking at this range, no candle bodies have closed above the red range, right? This red line when we pump through here. Then, you know, what happens? We do get a wick through the line though, right? What does this wick do? This wick clears the liquidity from the previous highs. We haven't got any candle bodies above it, so it's not strong. We get a 3 hour, you know, doji that comes and it sweeps even the high of over here. What we didn't do was, you know, come sweep this high, because, you know, if price, even if it's just a wick, if price would have broken out of this trend line, this would be, you know, and it would induce more liquidity where we would even maybe sweep this high. We'd have to, you know, sweep the next high. So you have to look at all the highs and all the lows. Right now, we can see that, yes, we had capitulation down here, but this is the main real support area. You see how we paused here one time? We actually had a bounce up to here. Then we came, you know, below this area, and then when we got above it, we actually held the doji and engulfed it, right? So this is also a support area. Let me just miss it. So yeah. So the second thing would be chart patterns. All I seen was, you know, we weren't able to make any lows, candle lows below this area, and we started rejecting it, right? We also rejected it here. Now we rejected it here. So will this hold the support? You know, you start to think, okay, we're at the bottom. I don't want to sell while we're at the bottom. Yes, we could capture down here, and that would be a great trade. But risk reward is everything in this game. So if I'm not confirmed this thing's breaking down hard, when this hits the zone, hits the support, I'm able to take a trade from, you know, an order block, maybe the last buy before this, the last sell before the buy, right? Most of the time they'll wick this last candle. As you know, it came in this area. We wicked like this wick. We tested the lows, and I could have a smaller stop loss, 0.68%. So I could apply higher leverage to that trade. I minimize my risk by
Do you wait
putting
for
my
the retest?
on this.
Generally, yeah. So do you wait for that to be, if it breaks that demand zone, do you wait for it to be retested with supply before you take your short?
I'm looking for my shorts up here, bro.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I mean, you could, right? We could, let's say we would have flipped this support line now. If we retest this hour, we test, like, we mitigated this candle, and we're still like going sideways. We're not making any highs. We're giving up this 40 RSI. I might flip short, but right now, what we see on like the higher time frames, we've pretty much put in another divergence, right? This is why I took my long. We weren't able to break oversold again. If you look, this is actually slightly going up, and then we see like, well, that's not going up to me. That's more of a double bottom, because we can see this little one is like going down. This one is barely going up, like it's barely higher. But notice, like, this low, right? We look at this low where we had the 4 candle base support. That low was right here. Then we had the second low, right? Second low was right here, where we, went sideways 2 hours and engulfed. And then the third one came down. Look where this low closed. This low didn't close. Oh, see if it did. So it closed below the left low, right? But the left low is the lowest. And it didn't close below this low, but this low is higher. This low is higher than this low came. So that was the divergence. And we be cooking. I think I'm out of time too. If we want to go on a lower time frame, this was, a sketchy trade. No lower time frame divergence, but look at how low we came oversold, and how like this area we didn't even test oversold. So that's kind of the confluence we use, Chris. And I appreciate you for asking some great questions.
Thank you. I'm just interested to learn how you trade because this is a very different style to what I'm used to.
Yeah, somebody I've been trading with uses Elliott wave theory as well, and he's been showing me some crazy things. Like, you take the fib, and then the next, you take one trend, and then you use the fib extension, and then it'll hit these certain levels, and that's dope. Like, I want to learn more about that as well. So
you get really techy when you start learning stuff like pitchforks and GAN fans and GAN boxes and whatnot. That shit's very complex.
yeah, I think we were just talking about that yesterday. That's dope. So look at how our bounced hard, right? Testing this as resistance. Pretty much testing that as a resistance. But also, when we break the 40 is now used as resistance. So are the bulls gonna have enough strength to just like break through the 40, maybe hit the 50 or the 45, and then come back and retest the 40 as a support? It's possible, right? It's possible. On entry right here, this chart doesn't look good on the RSI, but look at the 15-minute. The 15-minute, we've seen, the 5-minute. 5-minute, we've seen a change in structure, right? So when the change in structure comes, we're making lower lows. All this low, right? Lower lows, lower highs. Notice how we didn't break trend. Go through a minute. Notice this is the only time we kind of took our pause or our break. So this is, the high we're testing right now, or the area we're testing. But also notice that Notice like the 5 minute even broke the 60. But notice how we had that divergence coming even on the lower time frame, just a 5 minute. Usually 5 minute, doesn't show that much strength. The higher the time frame, the higher the confluence, right? So we see the low, this point, the RSI hit was here, and this was the lowest it came on the price action, right? When we hit oversold, when we try to get out of oversold and we start coming back down, the move has more strength. But also notice when we hit this low, right? So this low came in up here. We had another big candle down. Notice how when we came all the way down, to this area, we start making kind of bullish divergences, and this is how sketchy it is, because like if you're on a 5 minute chart and you're just trying to buy on the bullish divergences, it's not going to work, because look how long it took to retest or reset, right? What you had to look for was your base or your change in structure. So we had a lower low, right? We broke the lows, but then we immediately broke the highs. So when we get this change in structure, we can pretty much take the Fibonacci from the bottom to the top. We see the 618 confluence holding. We see the zone holding. We have our symmetrical support. And then we have, our 4 candles of sideways price action. And then we're above the 40 RSI. That's pretty much go mode, You're risking 0.6. Let's see what the risk to reward on this would have been. You're already about like 2.3 R 2.3 RR to 1. So yeah. Now look at how 5 minute is creating hella divergences, but this move has had some strength. So as we're coming up to the hour, we get to see where new hourly closes come in. This is going to be a 4-hour close. This is going to be a 2-hour close. This is going to be a 1-hour close. So where will this candle end? We have 5 minutes left. Let's see the 3. The 3 hours, we still have 1 hour in this candle. So, we could still reject. But hold. So look at the 12.
Yeah, the 12 is a good one.
I don't even have it right now. How does it look?
Very bearish.
What I was like pinpointing here, when the 4-hour came down, and it was this low, it was just testing the 40 RSI. It was holding the 40 RSI. That was another one of my confluences. Why? Now that we're getting like this 4-hour close coming, strong pin bar, will this next hour come in and we, test the support again, hold this trend line, and then, will be another confirmation? That's the thing about these new 4-hour candles. They're pretty big. And look how, this 4-hour, wasn't even mitigated. No wicks, no nothing, no retest from this one on the way up. It was pretty bearish. So, that's why, at the bottom, we scale out our positions. When we keep tapping that support, it's not breaking, it's not gonna break. It's gonna come back to all these people's entries, 618 retracement, 786 in this volatility. If it doesn't break your whole trend and return to 30K, right? 34K. So that's something we just gotta look at. Until our range breaks, and the range is best displayed on right here. I wasn't able to pick up on it, but when the RSI on the daily came down and we were testing because the daily doesn't move that often, but it does move. So when it came down, I was wondering if this kind of low would hold and to kind of get like a little head and shoulders on a daily. But you can see the daily's been consolidating, right? RSI hasn't really done much, but it's been resetting. Like the price action been going sideways, but price action been going up. So does RSI break down all the way, you know, to test these divergences on a daily.
Do you know much about the market structure in terms of like drop base drop, drop base rally?
Nah, there's no structure, bro. Price action, just the way the candles move. So like that's the thing about, you know, my style of trading. It's not too complicated, bro. It's literally like run it to the stop loss, make sure, you know, you don't over leverage. And yeah, like one thing you have to know about patterns is they have breakout fake out. So once we broke out of this like symmetrical triangle, all we did was, you know, retest the support. Like look, if we delete this line, look at how this is now like an ascending triangle breakout. Ascending triangle, support resistance test, right? The retest. Come back up, make a lower high, straight down. And then, you know, once we're hugging the trend line for another, you know, 8 days to, you know, 2 weeks, once we flip the trend line, just like you said, we play in our next range. Come down, we play in these 2 wick zones, right? So we play in here for a little while, lots of volume. Remember, right back up, couldn't close above this high, right back down. But yeah, bro, it's not complicated, but it's definitely, there's a lot of things I look at on a quick basis, bro. Like quick. Knowing your candle patterns, very important as well. This double bottom was a lot of support. That's what, you know, I'm inferring from this. Notice here on the 45, like same thing, like this low was going up, but on the RSI, this low is going down. That's the divergence. But yeah, we had a short, guys. You want to see what happened? You want to see the game we playing? How much money we could make? Let me show y'all. Altcoins are where the money's at, my boy. So pretty much what happened with ETH to Bitcoin, right? You know, we're testing ETH to Bitcoin symmetrical triangle, right? We had that breakout. So the altcoins did have a significant downside test compared to Bitcoin's low, right? Like altcoins have still been dipping through this sideways price action on Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin is, you know, below its 20-week, when Bitcoin's not bullish, when the market sentiment is fearful, this is the time when altcoins are going to bleed more than Bitcoin. When Bitcoin goes sideways, altcoins go, you know, more down. But what happened was, you know, we had a nice trend line liquidity right here, right? Very steep wedge. And if you're looking at, you know, these like kind of ascending triangles, we know that once we slip the ascending triangle support, the downsides come. So we just been running through those, clean it up a little bit. And this, you know, the bigger one that we flipped here, and it actually allowed us to flip a weekly. If you look, it allowed us to flip a weekly support line. So this is a weekly support test. 1 touch, 2 touch. It's probably on the daily, and then we have our 3rd touch coming in. Notice how we slipped it, but now, you know, we're trading back inside of it. So could the altcoins be kind of bullish? We had a doji for the daily. Very interesting. Notice how, you know, I mean, we're nowhere out of the woods. Like this top look how much higher this top is. We're pretty much just like retesting this smaller symmetrical triangle, right? If this was not extended. We've slipped our weekly support line. Now we're retesting this black symmetrical triangle as a resistance right now. So Bitcoin's still gonna have to hold the line here for the alts. We see that when we did, you know, reject from the triangle, we held some support inside the weekly triangle almost perfectly. So that's great, but what's not great is, you know, the 60 RSI. If we can't break this 60 RSI top, we see how the divergence was rejected from the first time. And also, Chris, 60 RSIs where we're looking for bearish divergences, and 40 R. But yeah, that's about it. Last thing we'll look at is just the total market cap. And this is must see TV, my boys. Must see. This is much watch. Look how we came straight back down to our zone. Barely closed. Like I didn't update this since yesterday. Like trend lines don't lie. So this isn't on a 3-hour time frame, but maybe on an hourly, right? We see how this trend line is held. We just wicked the zone. Can we hold support above the 40 RSI and continue this range? If not, let's look for mitigation of this candle and to test the lows of total crypto market cap. Thank you guys.